This ABC15 flash briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.
Hello, I'm Justin Pizzera with your top stories from ABC15 Arizona. And we start with some terrifying moments on board a plane headed from Phoenix to Honolulu. 36 people injured, almost a dozen of them seriously hurt after that flight hit turbulence, throwing people around the cabin. ABC15's Ashley Paredes spoke with some of those passengers on that flight and has their reaction this morning.
If you can walk, we need that chair in the back.
I was just looking to see who was hurt because there was a lot of screaming and blood.
Chaos trying to get passengers off Hawaiian Airlines Flight 35. The plane rocked by severe turbulence on its way from Phoenix to Honolulu.
When it veered to the left, it like all of a sudden jumped up and then went to the right, and then it was very unstable, and then we just went flying up in the air.
Jadette Neely was one of 278 passengers on board that flight Sunday morning, telling us about 30 minutes from the island, the weather changed.
I was just trying to grab the seat in front of me. I was, even with my seatbelt, I was that high up. So I was grabbing the top of the seat in front of me.
We had some patients with lacerations, including to the head. Definitely bumps and bruises.
Jadette tells us she saw people with neck injuries. As we're told, many without seatbelts were thrown around.
Flying up and cracking the ceiling, you know, we were trying not to get hit by things.
She says the hardest part was seeing people in pain until landing, where first responders were waiting to help.
When people were screaming, I was praying. I wasn't screaming, I was praying.
That was our Ashley Paredes reporting. Hawaiian now says that it is conducting a thorough investigation into what happened. Also developing this morning for you, 2 people are in the hospital after a fiery crash. This was the scene near 35th Avenue and Thomas in Phoenix. A car crashed into a truck that cleans bus stops overnight before catching fire. We're trying to find out what led up to that crash. Mesa police are investigating a triple shooting after multiple fights broke out between neighbors last night. At one point, more than a dozen people were fist fighting in the street near Horn and Broadway. At one point, one person pulled out a gun and shot 3 people. One victim has life-threatening injuries. The other 2 are seriously injured but are expected to survive. Investigators believe they do have that lone shooter in custody. Around the world right now this morning, several people are dead after a shooting incident north of Toronto. York Regional Police say that officers were responding to a weapons call with multiple victims Sunday night. One of the people killed was in that altercation with police. It is not known at this point what led up to that shooting. Happening today, we could find out if the lawsuit filed by Republican governor candidate Kari will move forward or will be dismissed. Lake filed a 70-page lawsuit against state election officials alleging thousands of illegal voters recount and violations in the ballot chain of custody.
Our movement is so powerful that they had to sabotage Election Day operations. They had to steal our vote in broad daylight.
So if this lawsuit is not dismissed, Lake is seeking a 3-day trial while the state is pushing for a single day. Meantime, tomorrow a state representative will begin inspecting random ballots from the November election. It was granted by a judge in Maricopa County for Lake's request. So it's the season of need, and the United Food Bank wants to help hundreds of families have a meal on the table. Today there will be a drive-through food distribution at the Mesa Convention Center. This opens to anyone, and it's first come, first serve. Distribution begins at 9 o'clock. Sunday marked the start of the 8 days of Hanukkah. This is the Gilbert's Menorah, which will be lit at sundown each evening at the Watertown Plaza through the 26th. So happy Hanukkah to everyone who celebrates. For the latest headlines, weather, and traffic, head to abc15.com or download the free ABC15 mobile app.
This ABC15 flash briefing is sponsored by Sanderson Ford. All roads lead to Sanderson Ford.